I know some of you out there might think this is crazy, but some of these transformation graphs, once you get a little bit familiar with them, there's something about it to me that it's kind of fun when you do them and it all lines up and works out. It feels good. So we're going to do the transformations on cosine. Well, just a reminder on cosine. Cosine, when we looked at it on our unit circle, cosine was like the x, and out here x is 1, and it goes to 0 and -1. So on your graph, the cosine graph, followed that and it got to -1, and then it started going back up again, approaching 1. So 1, -1, full cycle 2 pi. So that's our cosine parent graph. But now how do we put all of these pieces in? So amplitude, right there, 1/5. Remember, amplitude's always positive. The negative part of it just flips it, but the graph will still oscillate up and down the same amounts, which your amplitude. So they usually put an absolute value on that. So my 1/5 is my amplitude. Then they want to know the period. So the period normally is 2 pi. That will change. That will change if you have a b value, a coefficient on your x here. So if you had a b there, because that's your frequency, how many cycles of the graph complete in our normal 2 pi period, but we don't have anything there. If we did, to find the b value, we would take 2 pi divided by the frequency, or 2 pi divided by the period if you're going the other way. So this b value, normally if you put something there, we label it as b. So that b, but we don't have one, so it's like 2 pi over 1, so just 2 pi for our period on this graph. So 2 pi, explain that a little bit there, just in case you have a b value when you get, and you're working on your problem. So a 2 pi for the normal period. And then the phase shift, that's when you're horizontally moving it left and right. And so Sava, some resources will have you put in this actual sign for this phase shift and expect you to understand it. Here they're talking about, so they want it with a minus. So the pi over 6 itself is the phase shift. If you have a coefficient on the x here, to really find it, you got to do the b, whatever that is, and you have to factor this out. So this is going to be times 1 over b to get what would go in here for your phase shift. We don't have anything there on this one, so it's just the pi over 6, and minus is to the right. So in that pull down menu, we're going to pull it down to the, say, to the right, but let's put our pi over 6 in here. Pi over 6 and to the right. And check that. And that takes us to our last vertical shift. And the vertical shift is just that number out there on the very end. And remember, that one actually goes in the direction that it says. So we got a -4 here, so that's going to be 4 down. So we'd go down here to, if my graph, I could go that far. I go down to -4, and my new, sometimes they call that the midline. I've also seen it called the sinusoidal axis, what it's oscillating back and forth, or this one starts out on the origin. So the midline will be moved down 4 in this case. So let's put that in there. The shift is 4 units and down. That should be what they're after there. So with that, oh, I got one last one, sorry. The maximum value of the function is, so I think what that's referring to, how high will this end up going? So remember that up here we had this amplitude here that, because of the 1/5, was going to go 1/5 high. So the real thing is 1/5 and 1/5, but that's going above and below this -4. So 1/5 above -4, how high is that? 1/5 above that -4, because we moved the whole thing down 4. That was where we got down here. And then because of this amplitude, how high are we going above and below that line? And so the height we're going above and below that line, if we go up 1/5 above it and down 1/5 below it, be a -4 1/5 when we go lower, and -3 4/5 above it. And it does say, it says simplify your answers. And I don't know if it'll take decimals there, but that's my first thought. It'd be nice if it would just let me use a decimal in here, because the highest that went, we said, was 3 4/5. So that'd be 3.8. Whoops, that's not right. A negative 3.8. I'll get to the right button here yet. And the lowest negative, what did I write there? We were going to go 1/5 below, so -4 1/5. Right? It looks like I got a fourth written there. I don't know why that one. So down a fifth would be -4 1/5. -1/5 being 0.2. So -4.2. Those are the two that I would like it to accept. And it did take those decimals. So hopefully that helps you understand where some of those answers are coming from. And you're having a great day. If you need more help, seek it out. You can do this. It takes a little time, but you'll get out of it what you put into it. All right. Have a great day.